Alright, welcome to the stream here, folks. This is Bad at Fighting Games presents One Punch Combo, a fighting game podcast, episode 10. Mortal Kombat 11 is dead. I'm Reason B-Man, a guy who's not actually speed dating. So, America is opening back up for better or for worse. I've got my inoculation, I've got my vaccine because I am not going to play that game. But speed dating is back, which is good because online dating is crap. Dating apps are horrible. And I actually would have been speed dating or returning home from speed dating now if it was not canceled. But they can't cancel forever. Actually, I used a credit from one that was canceled back in almost 2 years ago to try and get one today. But did not happen. People are canceling for the holiday, which doesn't really make sense. I guess they weren't aware that there was a holiday tomorrow, or had second thoughts, which just seems like poor life planning, but it is what it is. But anyway, if you want to chat while the podcast is being streamed, you can join me live on Twitch at RaisinBman. Pretty packed show, but I don't want to forget, I've been heavy into Guilty Gear Strive. So I actually do have, if you are a Nagaryuki player, I have a Nagaryuki cheat sheet, and I will be putting that in the notes of this video. So it's just a thing that is personally helpful for me, but it seems like it's helpful for other people to get the matchups and just some helpful tips and people to watch and stuff like that. But it's been nice getting into Guilty Gear. The community is mostly great. I have encountered a certain person who seems to have a grudge against me for an unknown reason, and you would think they'd have better things to do with their time, being in the station that they are, but I don't do internet drama anymore, so that's that. But anyway, as always, we will be, let's check stream markers. Yep, so since we have one viewer, thanks for tuning in. You might be not logged in, so I can't see your username, but let's get into the news. First we do news, and then we go into tournaments, so let's go ahead and get into our news here. So our big news item here, as much as I wanted to give the headline to Guilty Gear, this one seems pretty out of the blue and ridiculous. GameInformer.com brings us the story. NetherRealm confirms Mortal Kombat 11 content is done as studio moves to the next game. If you've been following Mortal Kombat, and I admit I haven't, I sort of had hesitation with hearing about initially their loot box situation. But it seems like people enjoyed it, but on the flip side, we're going to get into this a little bit, but people apparently did not enjoy it. But anyway, yeah. So NetherRealm confirms Mortal Kombat 11 is done. This is really, really weird because they were saying Mortal Kombat 11 was going to be living a long time. And you even see companies now, especially now that COVID's hit and we're in the transition to the next consoles, that they're sort of biding their time. They're definitely sticking with their game as is. Street Fighter V is doing a new season instead of Street Fighter 6, which is sort of something we've talked about on previous podcast episodes. They're really holding their cards instead of doing something risky, because of course you don't know what's going to happen in COVID. King of Fighters 15 is delayed. Really the only fighting game news we're seeing that's major is Guilty Gear Strive. But yeah, they had said that Mortal Kombat 11 was really just going to be a long-living game, so it's sort of the strangest thing to see. And I don't have the numbers in front of me, but I guess technically this game has lived longer than, say, Injustice 2. But we're pretty familiar now with starting with Mortal Kombat 9, that their games have been on a very aggressive cycle, not yearly like a Call of Duty or anything like that, but pretty much almost, and their player base was used to it. So I did find it initially kind of strange that they had said that they were going to make this basically a living game and make it live for a long time. Not that there's a problem with that, but if you look at Street Fighter V, Samurai Showdown, games don't, Tekken 7, games don't need new versions to sell and be relevant. So it's not that strange of a move. A little bit strange for them, but yeah, I mean, Ed Boon is pretty much a professional troll, so there may be some credence to some of the more tantalizing rumors that we've heard in terms of maybe a Marvel fighting game, maybe a Marvel versus DC fighting game. I don't really think that's going to be the case, the latter, but we could see the former, because I'm sure Capcom has burned the freaking bridge when it comes to Marvel vs. Capcom. Excuse me. Yeah, so this is a tweet from Mortal Kombat 11 and not just Ed Boon's account, because he's known to put some really trolly things out there. But interestingly enough, today I actually talked to some players who are more familiar, because I've been out of the picture for Mortal Kombat 11. Apparently, Mortal Kombat 11 wasn't well liked, and balance was atrocious, even though, we look at the tier lists pretty much every week on this show. Apparently people were not in favor of it. So it kind of makes sense adding up the dots with Mortal Kombat 11 isn't really well liked. Excuse me. Apparently they were buffing top tiers and not balancing it, which doesn't make sense. And I know there was a thing of where they had custom variations, but apparently that didn't help, which is really weird, but whatever. And also, we see Maximilian going. Well, the rumors I mentioned already, but we see Maximilian hosting the Mortal Kombat. Was it Mortal Kombat 9? No, Mortal Kombat 10 revival. Now that sort of made sense for when Maximilian was doing Twitch plays for Killer Instinct, as sort of to get hype for that game back up, because that game wasn't necessarily dead, but Microsoft had released it on a weird schedule, and it never really had the limelight that it probably should have. But here, you have them specifically going back to an old game and not having spotlight on the newest game, which is really weird. We've seen Nintendo sort of stamp that out with Super Smash Bros. Melee. So yeah, it kind of makes sense for them to be pivoting from Mortal Kombat 11 if we do believe down the path that it is disliked. And maybe they're working on one of these other projects that it would warrant their attention, like a Marvel fighting game. Yeah, actually, I have the dates in front of me. Injustice 2 came out on 2017. Mortal Kombat 11 came out in 2019. So, actually, they kind of lied when they said that they were going to be supporting this game for a long time, because they supported this game for almost exactly as long as they did for Injustice 2. There has to be something going on behind the scenes here. Maybe Matt McMuscles is going to do a what happened on this. There is a Injustice Gods Among Us animated movie in production, so that could be a good tie-in for Injustice 3. But it's just very, very strange to me, especially because I believe they did a story update. I was thinking that they were going to occasionally just do story updates and have this game live for a while, but I guess not. It makes sense to cut your losses if that's what's really happening here, or maybe they came into a new opportunity. But let's move on here. Another story at Game Informer, Phil Spencer says more Killer Instinct is a goal, just not right now. So we mentioned it a little bit previously, but there's been a big push to get Killer Instinct back into the limelight, either in the form of a new game or just period. Maximilian has been pushing that, and the Killer Instinct community. They've been active. They haven't been at Evos and such, but they've definitely been there. I don't really believe that games ever die, because we had our fighting game Dark Ages, but that really was just Capcom and the industry stopped believing in fighting games, but definitely still had people playing. But yeah, so that is good. That's Phil Spencer. He's very well spoken and not one to really talk out of his ass. In fact, speaking of Game Informer, one of the editors, Liana, was sort of saying that Phil Spencer actually did make good on his promises during Xbox 360 era and moving into Xbox One and such. So, it really seems that Phil Spencer's honest to a fault. So I wouldn't think that he's pulling the wool over your eyes or, trying to fuck with you or anything like that when he says this. Next up, we have a Jinx.tv article. Leffen to miss Summit 11 due to visa issues, teases his Melee retirement. And we have a lot next up. Guilty Gear Strive 1.05 update. Since I actually am playing Guilty Gear, I can comment on Guilty Gear a little bit more. And we have a ton of Guilty Gear news to go through, so hopefully you're up for that. Come on. Guilty Gear Strive 1.05 update has online fixes, story mode changes, and more. Hopefully more fixes are on the way. The bottom line with this is it fixes some really dire problems, but there's definitely more to go. In particular, there is some really nasty online issues, and I know there's some huge PC bugs. On the subreddit, there's a stickied PC bug mega thread, and even on launch they were basically saying do not turn on 4K because that'll screw your game up really badly. We also got version 1.03, and by the way, that was a Jinx.tv, Jinx with a G, story. Moving on, we have another Jinx.tv article. Sakurai confirms there's no more DLC for Smash Ultimate after Fighters Pass Volume 2. So that leaves one more character to announce after Kazuya, who was announced this month pretty recently. We also got Super Smash Bros. Ultimate version 12.0. Oh, actually, sorry, no, Kazuya is the last character. Now, we've definitely heard Sakurai say things and then do the opposite later, so who knows? He has said he wanted to get off the series. He has said this is the end, but this game sells like hotcakes, so I'm sure the series will continue. Will it have Sakurai? Who knows? Seems like this is sort of the guy who can't resist the challenge or the call to arms for this sort of thing. And in particular, I mean, it's sort of a little bit of a sad story, but Ultimate was actually Iwata's last official command to Sakurai to get this game out and make it running. So obviously he's going to want to put his all into that. But we have seen stuff from Sakurai in the past where he's sort of just full of shit, where he's sort of in Brawl, he had said, commenting on why there's tripping in Brawl, he had said that they knew that wave dashing was in Melee and that it was a bug, so they added tripping in Brawl for that reason. Doesn't exist anymore. Wonder why. It was a bad decision. He has said, like Ridley was too big to be a fighter, but now we have Ridley in Super Smash Bros. Ultimate proper. So yeah. You also got a number of Tekken songs coming with Kazuya, so I know Tekken people are excited about that. I've heard that Tekken 7's music is not great, but you have some more classic stuff in there with him. Moving on though, Smash Pro Mars demands quote-unquote top player privilege after CEO caps registrations. This is another Jinx.tv article. This is an interesting one. Apparently, I'm not familiar with this, but apparently this means that there's an unwritten rule that gives special considerations to those considered worthy enough. That's kind of weird. I mean, we already have this though, with the fact that you can automatically qualify for stuff by placing highly enough. I know the Capcom Cup has done stuff like this. It's been around in Magic the Gathering for ever. I mean, I imagine if CEO and tournaments like that really wanted players to attend, then they would actually invite them. So I imagine this call is going to be ignored. Sonic Fox sort of said the opposite in that if you want to go, just for fun, then there's nothing wrong with that. And there's nothing saying that their experience is better than yours. And even in this article, you have Ramen uh, saying Japan has reserved spots. Um, Jabali is saying there's not really going to be any more spots at CEO, so you really missed out. But you should be used to that in a COVID world where you're really fighting over scraps, and if you don't move, scalpers are going to hurt you. Yeah, so there's not really anything conclusive in this article beyond that, but like I said, I imagine if the event runners wanted these specific players, they would invite them first, because that is something that does happen. Another Jinx.tv article, we get back into sort of some craziness where Ludwig slams hacks for quote unquote rewriting history with updated Leffen evidence video. Um, so if you've seen this previous stuff, Hacks apparently has a problem with Leffen. Leffen, isn't exactly known for being a innocent angel, but Hacks is probably out of line here. And in fact, Hacks was banned from Smash Summit 11 following this crap. The article is moving about. The hell? And on Leffen's side, as we sort of mentioned previously, uh, he sought legal advice because this just is just sort of really weird and stalkery. Yeah, and let's see that's I was looking if there was more information, but it looks like there wasn't. Moving on, Jinx.tv has an article for you to fix the blurry image on your PC if you're playing Guilty Gear Strive. Uh, Jinx.tv with with a pretty good tier list here. I'm not sure if this is by a specific pro or just by the article writer, but it actually is pretty good. So we'll go through it. At the S tier, it's a small roster, so we'll just go through the entire thing. And actually, we have a couple more tier lists, and I actually play the game, so I can comment on it. At the S tier, you have Ramlethal, May, and Soul. Ramlethal probably is a little bit lower because she's not that great. She's great on a base level, but she gets knocked down and she can't do anything, which is really problematic, especially considering Soul and May, as the community has termed them, are bullshit blazing. Soul in particular has been mentioned by the devs that they sort of over-adjusted, and they're going to be adjusting Soul again, which is hopefully meaning he's going to be nerfed, because in every single tier list, he is at the top. He is in the S tier. May just sort of dominates. She can get anything off of a stray hit. In the A tier, we have Nagoriyuki, Giovanna, Leo, and Chip. Japan was really big on Chip, and Chip seems super powerful. I would definitely keep him A or S. Nagoriyuki, you'd probably move him down. We've seen tournament results with most of these characters. I don't know if we've seen tournament results with Chip, actually, but we've seen results with Ram, May, Soul, Giovanna, Leo, and Nagoriyuki. But yeah, I would probably drop Nago, even though I'm in Nago main, just because the characters that are in these upper tiers have pure advantage, whereas Nago is sort of playing a more fair game. Giovanna, super ridiculous dash, and once she gets in her face, even though her game plan is not that great, she just has the frame data to back it up. A lot like, I would guess, a Kazumi from Tekken 7. Leo, just absolutely ridiculous. The game itself pushes itself towards a very Unga or aggro meta, if you want to call it that. So him being the king of Unga really makes a lot of sense for him to be up there, because he's going to be able to challenge and bluff with the best of them in terms of Soul and May and Chip. Chip is another one where Japan rates him very highly. I would maybe move him up, because it's sort of a weird story with Nagoriyuki and Chip. As well as Strive in general. People were really downplaying them and sort of saying that they were crap, but in actuality, they were very good and the opposite of crap. Chip in particular, Japan is high on. He's very much made of paper, but he has some ridiculous stuff on, just really hard to deal with. In the B tier, you have Milia, Zato1, Potemkin, Axel, and Kai and Ino. Milia is sort of interesting in that she has good stuff, but her frames aren't great, where you're going to see, especially on Knockdown, she's going to have issue against characters like Soul, May, Nagoriyuki, Giovanna, Chip, and as you'll notice, these characters are above her on this particular tier list, which makes sense. Zato is sort of interesting because Japan has said that this is an S tier character, so they really believe in this character. We have not really seen S tier play yet. Of course, this is a character that is going to take time to get up there, but definitely some interesting stuff. He does have weakness in that he is easily killed, and of course high skill barrier, a lot of negative edge where you're pressing a button, and when you release that button, Eddie does something. He's a puppet character. Potemkin can probably go down. We saw a good performance from Fab, but he seems really weak, and again, these top tiers are going to run roughshod all over Potemkin. Axelo, sort of interesting because we saw at El Evo Europe, he placed first. But again, another character, very conditional. He is a zoner, and you have some very good, very aggressive characters who are really, really good. So it's tough. It's possible that he's going to be out of his depth a lot of time, and if someone is in his face, he doesn't have great options. Kai has been a source of a lot of talk with the fact that he's not great. His frame data isn't great. but we have seen Kizzy K pick him up to much success. And of course, frame data at the end of the day isn't everything. I still think he's not great and he's bad, and you probably should be playing someone else. But it is what it is. And you know, it's been kind of a weird conversation, especially since my character kind of wins against her for free. It seems like is good against low tiers and bad against high tiers, so I don't really think you're going to see her too much. But apparently there was a 15 versus 15 in Japan, and people were picking her. So hey, maybe we're going to see that develop, but she doesn't seem that great. Because she just can't handle being on the defensive end of things. And in the C tier, finally, we have Anji, Mito, and Faust. Faust, I think, unequivocally is the worst character in the game, but even as I say that, you have character specialists like Nage made him look really, really good. But I do think that character needs some help, especially when we're dealing with BSB, Bullshit Blazing, if you don't remember. Characters like Soul and Mei, and Anji just simply needs some help. I'm not really sure what the hell they were doing with him, but again, it's a case of where he is absolutely outclassed. I mean, you're always going to have character specialists that can make people have people make it work, but there's only so much you can do with an Anji. You should be picking someone else, and you're probably going to have more reward for it. So yeah, this tier list isn't too bad, but probably move some stuff around. But yeah. Okay, and moving on, Magi joins Beast Coast ahead of the Smash 11 Summit campaign. That's a .esports story. Vanessa revealed for King of Fighters 15, brought to us by .esports. Tekken director Harada, Tekken Cross Street Fighter is not dead. This is a .esports story. Oh boy, strap in, because this is another long story we're going over here. So first off, Harada had said that it was dead, but apparently this was a mistranslation on his Harada's Bar web series, and so he says the game is not dead, and that let's see. So it was about 30% done. I was going to see if I could find more, because I've heard, some secondhand stuff, all kind of funny, but I can't really trust them with fighting games, unfortunately. But yeah, obviously Akuma was supposed to be a step in the direction of Tekken X Street Fighter. Apparently they did have Chun-Li ready to show off. So yeah, just a really weird sort of flip-floppy story, and that is not the last we'll hear from a flip-floppy Harada. But at least for now, we're moving on. Well, actually, I should give my opinion on this. I mean, Tekken Cross Street Fighter is probably dead. Capcom has really reined in the fighting game stuff after they had 2 failures, and rightfully so. They are expanding a little bit now that Ono is gone. If you listen to previous podcasts, you probably heard that if you believe in the rumors, he may have been the problem. He may have been hard to work with. And we are seeing Street Fighter sort of, even though they're playing it conservative with Street Fighter V, they are engaging with other fighting games, which we've seen a lot of from other fighting game developers, and doing some interesting things. But yeah, so I do think it's dead. I mean, Harada obviously is open to it in the future, but it's just been too much time, and you don't want to have I'm forgetting the phrasing, but I guess I can just say FOMO, fear of missing out, but there is another phrasing for it. That's a psychological phenomenon. But anyway, Guilty Gear Strive ships 300,000 units 3 days after launch. I don't know how many it's shipped now, but that's I believe it's 3 times any Guilty Gear has sold, period. Yeah, so it sold Guilty Gear Zerd Rev 2 only sold around 100,000 units, so that's 3 times that. And of course, it had to have sold more than the older entries, but maybe R Plus has sold a little bit more since it's been revived with rollback netcode. That's a .esports story. Another .esports story: Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles coming to Brawlhalla. Uh, Another .esports story: Luong kicks off the next round of King of Fighters 15 roster reveals. Uh, Fighters Generation tells us we have a Mortal Kombat Legends Battle of the Realms trailer. Um, the final Grand Blue Fantasy versus Season 2 character, Six, it's Seox, but it's pronounced Six, at least in Japan, joins July 13th, brought to us by Fighters Generation. Fighters Generation tells us there's a SNK publisher sale on live on Steam with 80% discounts, and so this is actually still live if you like to dig into that. And there is some stuff like well, there's lots of stuff actually, but King of Fighters, pretty much most of the relevant ones. The 40th anniversary connection. I butchered that. The 40th anniversary collection. The Samurai Showdown Neo Geo collection, which has rollback, and previously unreleased version of Samurai Showdown 5, if I'm remembering that correctly. Fighter Generation brings us another story which will hopefully shut some people up. One of the most annoying things being on the Samurai Showdown subreddit is people would not stop asking for the Steam version despite there being, I believe, a Stadia version. So if they really wanted to play on their damn PCs that badly, they could have just picked up the Stadia version. But anyway, Samurai Showdown Steam version is now available, and Amakusa was released with the 2.31 full patch. I mean, I imagine the people asking for the Steam version were just trolling or just looking for something to poke a hole in the game. But there you go. No more complaints about that. Now they have to complain about the bad netcode. Fighters Generation had an exclusive interview with Arc System Works. There were a ton of interviews with Arc System Works and Daisuke, the director of the game, and really sort of he's done a ton for the series. So we're not going to go over them in detail, but I will point that out to you in case you're interested. Even though it's not super substantive stuff, it is interesting stuff in the interviews. Guilty Gear Strive opening movie, we got that courtesy of Fighters Generation story. Also, we have a DLC roadmap, so let's go over that. July 2021, we have an additional character, which will be a new character, and the characters did leak, so people are thinking that's going to be Happy Chaos, who is allegedly a gun character. I have not watched story mode, and I'm probably not going to, so I have no idea what his abilities are, but he is a new character. August 2021, supposed to get a playable character from past games, and this it's a lot less specific here, but after fall 2021, you're going to have additional characters 3, 4, and 5, which will round out the season pass, additional 2 stages, and another story, probably featuring some of the characters who we didn't really see in the main story, which there were some of. so you can get hyped for that. Fighter Generation, again, they have a King of Fighters 14 Physical Collector's Edition giveaway. And as far as I can tell, this is still, it said you can participate in this for a week. And even though it's almost a literal week, I believe you have like 1 hour to retweet or whatever you need to do to enter that contest. So if that's something that interests you, you may want to tune into that. Moving on, Guilty Gear Strive, we had an early access showcase brought to us by Event Hubs. Again, I said there were going to be a ton of Guilty Gear interviews, and we have a ton of Guilty Gear interviews. So here we go. Event Hubs bring us the following. Quote unquote, we've still got lots more to work on. Guilty Gear Strive developers on the release of on the game's approaching release. Guilty Gear Strive directors, we're looking to prioritize fun over the balance itself. There's some crazy bugs. Faust versus Faust can crash the game. Multiple players report strange glitch that sends rams, swords flying or swinging complete opposite direction in Guilty Gear Strive. Back to interviews. We considered and reconsidered characters until we're down to the very last second. Guilty Gear Strive directors want to share the joys of the golden age of arcade culture with modern players through the portal of powerful netcode. And finally, another Event Hubs article. Guilty Gear Strive is likely the second largest fighting game on launch on PC ever. So Steam charts is really handy for this in that Strive has reached a peak player base of people on at the same time of 31,000, which is greater than Tekken 7 or Street Fighter 5 combined. Emphasis combined. The only thing standing above it is also Arc System Works, Dragon Ball FighterZ, with 44K peak in 2018. So really interesting, but good numbers, encouraging numbers there. There was a pretty cute thing with Japanese Guilty Gear Strive voice actors and actresses commemorating the upcoming release. So that's an Event Hubs article. And another Event Hubs article, Tweak reveals new Super Smash Bros. Ultimate tier list for version 11.0.1, so it's a bit outdated, but let's check it out anyway. C tier is Little Mac. S tier, unlike the Guilty Gear ones, there's too many characters, and I probably don't recognize some of these characters, sad enough as that is, that I can't go over all of them. But in S tier, you have Joker, Pikachu, Wolf, Palutena, Sephiroth, Sonic, Pyrrha and Mithra, Zero Suit Samus, Mario, Pac-Man, Sheik, Rob, Shulk, and Snake. So a bit of a change from what I remember last time. Of course, your mainstays like Joker are still up there. And your bad characters, like, I honestly wonder if Little Mac has ever been good since he's been introduced. I don't understand the rationale behind putting in a character who's bad in the air when so much of Smash Bros. Is the air. So Event Hubs brings us another story. Guilty Gear Strive review roundup. Tons praise for the graphics, but no one likes the lobbies, which is pretty much what I think. I will probably end up doing a Guilty Gear Strive review, maybe on this channel. I've sort of already done a written one if you're over in the Kane and Rinse community. It was early impressions, but I'd give Guilty Gear Strive an 8.5. It definitely has some issues, and I don't think there's stuff for offline, too many offline players, you know, if you're looking for an in-depth story mode or something. But if you are looking for game with, good graphics, good fighting systems, and it works online, that is Guilty Gear Strive, which is the core of what fighting game players are going to want. IGN gave it a 9 out of 10. Shack News, 9 out of 10. Game Spew, 8 out of 10. Hardcore Gamer, 4 out of 5. Noisy Pixel, 10 out of 10. Kizzy K, that's not a review score. What are we doing? Okay, whatever. Anyway, point is, good review average. I guess we could just go to, what is it, Metacritic? Yeah, Guilty Gear Strive has a Metacritic of 85, which is the score I kind of gave it. On PC, PS4, and 88 on PS5. So apparently that exclusive PS5 mode that they didn't actually put in is making it so much better. But moving on, Tekken 7, this is an Event Hub story. Tekken 7 isn't likely getting a team battle anytime soon. Harada reveals the one thing he's always wanted to do with the series. Are they saying that that's team battle, or is there something else? Okay, the most standout thing was crossplay, which you think would be the article headline, but there it is. If you have not been following this podcast or gaming in general, Sony seems to be the main culprit in denying crossplay. Everyone else seems to be on board, even Nintendo. But we've seen court documents where Sony wants money for doing crossplay. So it's understandable if game developers do not want to do that and eat into their profits. Another Event Hub story, Arcade 1UP reveals Big Blue Street Fighter 2 arcade cabinet featuring the World Warriors, Darkstalkers, and Saturday Night Slam Masters. So if you have some extra money, that's out there for you. Another Event Hub story, Harada reveals which two Mortal Kombat characters he'd want most as Tekken guest fighters. And considering, I wasn't really going to post this, but considering we are speculating about what NetherRealm is doing, it's worth bringing up, I guess. So he said Sub-Zero and Raiden. So another pretty hot topic of debate is Tekken 7 online netcode. Harada has said it has rollback. People insist it does not, and people insist it sucks. And we see good rollback in the form of various games, but most prominently Guilty Gear. We do know that Tekken has had a netcode improvement. I don't know whether it's netcode or not. Unfortunately, I've never been online on Tekken. I actually have the game, but since I don't really know how to play, there's no real sense on me going online. I would like to, but there has to be time. There's only so many hours in a day. So let's look into this article and see if we can get to the bottom of this. So, in essence, what Harada is saying is the differences in internet infrastructure is one point he brings up. Uh, of course, waiting for governments to improve the internet would be the best course of action, but especially in the US, you're not going to get that anytime soon. Um, so Tekken 7 has a key buffer of 0 to 5 frames depending on distance or network status. Harada is saying this is a difference in philosophy between choosing possible inconsistency or consistency with limitations. Apparently, they wanted to catch the feeling of arcades under best conditions. Players, side effect of this is players will experience different amounts of lag. So that is not really a clear explanation. Okay, I'm going to try and break this down really, really quickly. Uh, so apparently it does have some form of rollback, but at the end of the day, it is not good and it is not satisfactory, you know, especially with Guilty Gear Strive. It's understandable, Tekken 7 is pretty old. I mean, they probably just need to do a new version and put rollback in that, or proper rollback, I guess we have to say. I don't know. He does bring up the fact that 3D games are different in terms of rollback, which I can't really verify because I don't really know any games beyond Tekken 7 that are 3D that have rollback. I mean, mostly we have 2D stuff that has rollback. I don't know. Anyway, there's the explanation. Is it good enough? I don't know, but there you are. Harada also followed up on this. Unfortunately, it seems like, once again, like with the Tekken Cross Street Fighter stuff, there was a mistranslation. Maybe Harada should get an actual translator for his Harada's Bar stuff if this is going to keep happening. I mean, he's pretty high up in the company, so I doubt he's going to get in trouble himself. But it'll be just nice to have this stuff come out as he means it the first time. So Harada is saying many players felt uncomfortable with fixed frame because if you remember what we just talked about was variable frame, which was 0 to 5 frames. So a fixed frame, uh, which he cites, I can't remember which game he's citing, but a certain game has 3 frames. So they were uncomfortable with that, and I think Guilty Gear Strive has a built-in 1 frame delay online. So he does say he's committing to a 3 frame delay. He does say that he agrees to more rollback, but says that Tekken may suffer for it. I can't imagine it's worse than actually, you know, what the online is, how bad it is now. I am a little bit confused when they say they plan to fix the input delay to only 3 frames. I guess that means for Tekken 7. I was kind of thinking they meant for the next entry, whatever that would be, but that's good news, I guess. Moving on, we have another Event Hub story. Guilty Gear Strive's season pass data mined. First 5 DLC characters probably revealed here. don't they just have a list? Oh, okay, here. The characters that we're looking to get here and the season pass: Happy Chaos, who we already talked about; Asuka, otherwise known as that man who's been the antagonist of Guilty Gear for a long freaking time; and Gold Lewis Dickinson, who pretty amusing. American character, kind of stout. I'm imagining he's going to be similar to Street Fighter V's Birdie. He has a coffin, and in that coffin is an alien, but he doesn't believe in aliens, and we're not going to dwell too long on that, but there is some humor there. But in addition to them, because there's 5, Jacko is supposed to be back, as well as Jam. So, interesting stuff. Of course, we're supposed to get a new character first, so it could either be Happy Chaos or Gold Lewis. Another Event Hub story: Virtua Fighter 5 Ultimate Showdown producer thanks fans for recent releases success and promises future updates. Wow, this is kind of lip service. Virtua Fighter 5 was bound to be successful because it's on PlayStation Plus, so there's no harm in a ton of people trying it, so there's no harm in people wanting, what am I trying to say? People supporting it, at least for the time being. Will that survive? I don't know. They had some, I think we talked about this in the last episode, I believe, but they had some very dubious lines about what they were doing with the netcode, but it turns out the netcode was actually pretty decent. Moving on, we have another Event Hub story. PlayStation boss says Sony wants more cross-play titles, but recent actions may suggest otherwise. So I'm going to go off the bat here and say this is definitely probably some PR crap, because Sony, as we've seen in court documents, which means this is stuff that is legally written down, court documents, lawyers have looked over this, deals between companies. This is not something that is false or a rumor. They are against crossplay unless they're making money from it. And also, Jim Ryan is not the best frontman for companies that we've seen. That's the CEO of Sony. So apparently they quote unquote support and encourage crossplay. I roll. But yeah, even in this article, they sort of say that Gearbox stated Borderlands 3 would get crossplay, but they weren't allowed to have Sony be part of that crossplay. We also see Sony pulling in, especially in the fighting game arena. They bought Evo, if you don't believe me. In the fighting game arena, pulling in developers and games, like with Street Fighter 5, to their realm specifically. So even if they say they believe in crossplay, there's some exclusivity there. Guilty Gear Strive was supposed to have, I believe, a PlayStation exclusive mode, and they had a PlayStation exclusive version with PlayStation exclusive colors. So, I mean, I don't really believe that, but that's what the dude said. Sakurai once considered Heihachi for Super Smash Bros. 4, but implementing his movement would have been difficult, which again sort of goes back to, that's an Event Hub's article, which again goes back to sort of how Sakurai sometimes is full of shit. We have Kazuya now, and I'm not going to pretend I know the characters in and out, but they're both Mishimas, so their moveset is going to be pretty similar. So apparently this is because there's an auto turnaround mechanic that's on certain characters. I have not played Smash Ultimate, so I have no idea what they're talking about, but I'm guessing it's more on the fighting game characters who have very specific movements. Uh, our next news story, Event Hubs again. Hisui and Kohaku return for the upcoming Melty Blood Type Lumina, launching on September 30th. Another Event Hub story, let's see if there's any credence to this. Dragon Ball FighterZ, Dragon Ball FighterZ 2, or a different big anime fighting game appears to be in development. Hopefully it is not Jump Force 2. There's been a recent job listing on the website Freelance Hub. So there's no information on the developer or anything like that. It's probably hush hush. A super famous battle manga from a certain publisher. It's a manga that everyone knows about. And as the article goes on, Bandai Namco is really the only option for this, which makes sense. So yeah, not too much there, but I did think that was interesting enough to bring up. We have some more tier lists here brought to us from Twitter. Kojikog, Go1, Dogura, and Kiyame. Those are some Japanese players. We've got some tier lists. Kojikog puts Chip in S tier. This is Guilty Gear Strive, if I did not say. Soul, A tier is Soul, Mei, Milia, Ram, Giovanna. B tier is Pot, Nagoriyuki, Kai, Faust. C is Anji, and they did not know where to place Zato, Leo, or Axel. I think Faust definitely goes below these other characters. Everything else seems pretty okay-ish. We have Go1's tier list. Soul being number one. Chip, Soul being S tier, excuse me. Chip at Mei, Leo, A tier. Ram, Geo, Milia, Zato 1, Axel at B tier. C tier, Ino, Kai, Nagoriyuki, Pot, Anji, and Faust. That one looks pretty good. That makes a lot of sense. Next up, we have, let's see, I believe it's in order, so this should be Dogura. We have S tier, Chip and Soul, makes sense. A tier, Ram, Giovanna, Mei, Milia, Zato. A tier, makes sense. B tier, Leo, Axel, Potemkin. Have I even been saying Potemkin? I had to have been, but anyway, it doesn't matter. Nagoriyuki, Kai, Anji, and Faust. So the B tier is a little bit crowded there. I would definitely change that a bit, but otherwise seems pretty fine-ish. And finally, we have Kiyame. S tier, we have Soul, Chip, Zato. So this is probably the most interesting one because they have Zato in S tier. We have not seen S tier Zato play to my knowledge, but definitely interested to see and hear about when that does happen, if that happens. A tier, we have Ram, Mei, Milia, Geo, Leo. B tier, we have Pot, Kai, Axel. C tier, we have Faust, Nagoriyuki, Ino, and Anji. So I think we move Nago and Ino up. We maybe can leave Ino there, but definitely Nago up. So yeah, a little bit harsh there, but Japan likes Chip, does not like Nago. And not to be outdone, we have Kizzy K's tier list. S tier. Whoa, 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 whoa! Come on, don't do this. Freaking hell. We have S tier. Well, sorry, S plus tier is Soul, Ram, May. We can probably drop Ram down. S tier, Chip, Gio, Zato. A plus tier, Leo, Kai, Axel, Nago. A tier, Ino, Pot, Milia. B tier is Anji, and Lost tier, which I'm assuming is joke tier, is Faust all by himself, but Loust rhymes with Faust. Yeah, this one seems pretty good. Faust is in a pretty bad shape, even though there is some gradation in this tier. It's not super split up, which makes sense because there's not really any hell tier, unlike, say, Samurai Showdown, where there's definitely a hell tier, where if you're picking this character, you're probably not going to win. Moving on, though, Grand Blue Fantasy Versus crosses 500,000 copies sold. And if you remember, Strive has sold 3/5 of that in 3 days. So keep in mind, I don't even know when Grand Blue came out because I don't care. I believe it was like sometime last year, but in its lifetime, it sold that much, and Strive sold 3/5 that much in 3 days. I can more than likely Strive has passed that number when we actually get the NPD numbers. So yeah, we have a Guilty Gear Strive tier list from JM Crofts, brought to us by Event Hubs. Soul Bad Guy being S+, May, Ram, Geo, Chip being S. A tier contains Ino, Leo, Zato, Axel, Nago, Milia. B tier is Anji, Kai, Pot, and Faust. So that one seems pretty reasonable. Probably drop Ram, but not too much to complain about with that tier list. Seems pretty reasonable. Seems like we have another viewer. Thanks for tuning in. Another TV viewer. Abad Ongo released another tier list. This is brought to us by Event Hubs. This is for 11.0.1, so not necessarily super up to date since we're at 12.0, but still, I like to check it out. Top of the tier list, we have Diddy Kong, Joker, Mario, Pac-Man, I was blinking for a second there, Pokemon Trainer, Pikachu, Roy, Sheik, Shulk, Snake, Sonic, that's a lot of S's, Yoshi, and Zero Suit Samus. Bottom tier, you have Ganon, Dr. Mario, I believe the Pokemon's name is Incineroar. You'll have to forgive me because I've been out of Pokemon for a long time. Isabelle, Jigglypuff, DDD, and Little Mac. Again, has Little Mac ever been out of the bottom tier of Smash? I really want to know. Halloween tier list. Has a tier list. We'll look at that, brought to us by Event Hubs. We have Soul S+ tier. Bring not just S tier, but S+ tier. Next up, we have A+ tier. We have May, Chip, Ram, Milia. In the A tier, we have Zato, Leo, Ino, Axel, Kai, Geo, Nago, Pot. B tier, Anji, and Faust. So, it makes sense. Definitely pretty good tier list there. Don't have too many disagreements with that. Next up, Event Hubs bring us another story. Guilty Gear Strive reportedly has 4 frames of input lag on PlayStation 4, while PC version provides potentially better results. And the subheader is we have to wait for PlayStation 5 results. So Noodles compared PC versus PS4 using NVIDIA Reflex Latency Analyzer. That's a fancy thing to have. Just skimming through this, see if we can find anything like that. Yeah, so Noodles was apparently unable to test PS5, so jury is not out for that one. Moving on, another Event Hub story where Justin Wong brings us a new UMC-UMVC3 tier list, which is interesting because we don't get those too often. S tier, Zero, Morrigan, Phoenix, Magneto, Virgil, Nova, Doctor Doom. Trash tier, trash tier kind of makes me sad. Nemesis, She-Hulk, Phoenix Wright, Iron Fist, Ryu, and Hishinko. Hishinko really makes me sad that she was assist only and then was completely discarded. But yeah, there you go. We got the Team Secret Agents theme for King of Fighters 15 release, so you can check that out. Another Event Hub story again. Dragon Ball FighterZ producer Tomoko Hiroki revealed an upcoming balance patch in August. There's also going to be some sort of online tournament for this, so that game is not dead, surprisingly enough. Another interesting story here. Darkstalkers began as a project using public domain horror characters to avoid paying licensing fees. So that seems like it's sort of interesting. Justin Wong on Event Hubs brings us a tier list for Guilty Gear Strive. S tier, Soul Bad Guy, Ram, May, Chip, Leo. Makes sense. A tier, Geo, Zato, Axel, Pot, Milia, Nago. B tier, Kai, Faust. Trash tier, Ino, and Anji. While some people may think Ino's placement is a bit harsh. If you are playing seriously at a tournament level, Ino, while she operates fine against some of the lower tiers, from what I've heard, I don't play her, I don't know. She operates fine against some of the lower tiers. She gets absolutely trashed by some of the higher tiers, and I can believe that because some of the high tiers are BSB, and they really just run roughshod over people. So if Ino gets knocked down, she's never going to have her turn again and pretty much going to lose instantly. Yeah, so that's that. Guilty Gear Strive gave out special rewards for Celestial rank. And those rewards are your avatar can go Super Saiyan God. For those unfamiliar, you might think of Kaioken, or if you're unfamiliar with that, then just a red aura. And special auras. Special icons, that's what I meant to say. Another Event Hub story, there is a Steam Summer Sale. And with that, you do have a bunch of fighting games, almost too much to list, but let's go over some highlights. Tekken 7 Season Pass, Kunimitsu DLC, Guilty Gear franchise, although that was on sale through Humble Bundle for much less previously. Of course, that's over. Mortal Kombat 11 and Ultimate DLC bundle, all on sale. Dragon Ball FighterZ, Ultimate Edition, base game, Fighters Pass, all on sale. Soul Calibur 6, 6 Deluxe, Season Pass 2, Season Pass 1, all on sale, although those are pretty pricey compared to some of this other stuff. Skullgirls, second Encore on sale, Season Pass 1 on sale, Street Fighter 5 on sale, Zerd on sale, but again, there was a big Guilty Gear sale, which was less. Rivals of Aether on sale, Mortal Kombat XL on sale, BlazBlue Cross Tag Battle Special Edition, pretty pricey, but on sale. Undernight In Birth EXE Late Clur on sale. Ultimate UMVC 3 on sale. Power Rangers Battle for the Grid on sale. Killer Instinct on sale. Power Rangers Battle for the Grid Super Edition on sale, but still expensive. BlazBlue Central Fiction on sale. Guilty Gear Accent Core Plus R on sale for very cheap, $3. So that's a pretty good one. Melty Blood Actress Again current code $5. Street Fighter Cross Tekken complete pack on sale. King of Fighters 13 on sale. Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite, don't buy that, but it's on sale. SK Heroines on sale. Fighting EX Layer on sale. Arcana Heart 3, not going to say the rest of that, on sale. Them Fighting Herds on sale. Samurai Showdown Neo Geo Collection on sale. KOF 2002 Unlimited Match on sale. Blade Strangers on sale. Mark of the Wolves on sale. DOA 6 Digital Deluxe Edition on sale. We have an interesting statement here from the Rivals of Aether creator. Accessibility isn't about making fighting games easy, it's about making them feel satisfying to explore. So Dan Fornes, after 8 years of working in fighting games, I've accepted the fact that no matter how easy you make your game, pros will absolutely demolish new players. And so he sort of goes through, I guess, some of his findings here. Focus on making the basic actions feel good. This is an Event Hub story, but it's really a tweet here. Not everyone will learn how deep your systems go, just like not everyone will play past the first zone in a single-player game. But focus on making the game fun, even if they just scratch the surface. Accessibility to me is something that doesn't destroy my hands and feels as intuitive as possible. So, I can definitely agree with that. Apparently, Rugrats is on Paramount Plus now, even though it's Nickelodeon. It has nothing to do with the story, just saw the ad. But anyway, says we have 3 viewers. Thanks for tuning in, MPQ 2013. Actually, that's the most recent follower, so I did thank you for following me previously. But yeah, we're finished with our news section here, so we'll get into our tournament section. So the big El Evo is happening, so you might want to check that out. That's a Jinx.tv article. Sonic Fox wins first El Evo Guilty Gear Strive tournament, and he was using Leo. Very interesting tournament makeup there, but not surprising. We had Tempest, May player, at number 2, Supernoon as Ram, number 3, Panda at number 4 as Soul, Reynald at number 5 as Soul. Can't read that, but somebody else was at number 5. It was, I guess, a tie placement at number 5. They were Soul. And number 7 was also a tie. Cool Guy and Omni Scythe. Omni Scythe being Ram and Cool Guy being number 7. Oh, excuse me. Actually, I'm sorry. Punk was number 4, not Panda. That's the branding. Cool Guy was Geo at number 7. CEO happened and registration was happened, and we had an article about that, and was apparently it filled up. So good for them. Especially since Jabali was saying that CEO only gets 500 attendees to sign up during the first week. But of course, people are hungry to get back to normal. Tourney Locator, and those last two articles were Jinx.tv. Tourney Locator to host Low Tide City featuring Super Smash Bros, Guilty Gear Strive, and more in October. That's a .esports article, so if that's your speed, you may want to check that out. And we have a lot of Capcom Pro Tour as per usual. Event Hubs tells us Capcom Pro Tour 2021 Middle East. We got the results for that. Capcom Pro Tour Middle East, we saw 13 unique characters, another Event Hub story. But Urian was number one at 4 spots chosen. We did not see any Sagats, Poison, or Ibukis. Let's see. Another Event Hub story. Ryu, Akuma, Chun-Li, and Urian were the most popular in the Capcom Pro Tour. Europe West 1's top 16. That's a lot of text. Ryu, Akuma, Urian, and Chun-Li at the top there. For Europe West 1, top 16. Next up, we have Rose dipping in popularity and Urian jumping back up to top 10 in Street Fighter V May 2021 stats for the characters. Always think that things are sort of interesting because, you know, as much as people sort of dismiss tier lists and stuff like that, sort of seeing the play rate and win rate, numbers don't lie. The rest of these, I think, are pretty much going to be Event Hub stories, so I won't say that, but here we go. Mortal Kombat 11 Pro Competition Regional Finals results. Capcom Pro Tour Europe West 1 results. Zoe and Soriz saw no representation in Rage Grand Blue Fantasy Versus Summer 2021's top 64. We saw 11 Bilals, so I'm guessing Bilal's a problem. Have we ever seen any Grand Blue tier lists? I'm guessing the community's so small, nobody really cares, or at least I have not seen any. But yeah, 11 Bilals, and as we discussed previously, 0 Zoe and 0 Soriz. But Bilal definitely out front, Charlotta right behind him. We got the results for Grand Blue, Rage Grand Blue versus 2021. We got momentous results. Capcom Pro Tour Midwest qualifiers. We got plenty of Armika's, Cammy, and Chun-Li's. We got no Colin and no G's. Smash World Tour offline regional finals were scheduled to begin, but were postponed. Yeah, they were postponed to August 14th. Understandable, probably the safe thing to do there. Yeah, so we've had 5 years of Capcom Pro Tours. The win rankings for those 5 years, we have Karin at the top of the heap because she was a dominating character at 38 wins. Guile right behind her at 21 wins, so definitely not as much, but up there. Nikali at 20 wins, and boy, has that character fallen off. M. Bison, 17 wins. Ibuki, 16 wins. At the bottom of the ranks, with 0 wins, we have Blanca, Dan, E. Honda, Ed, Falk, Gil, Kage, Lucia, Rose, Sagat, Sakura. Now, some of that is a little unfair because some of those are more recent DLC characters, but some of those are just absolute stinkers who do not win. We got Capcom Pro Tour 2021 North America Midwest results. We got Topanga Championship 3 early results. Which actually we should have full results because that was on June 20th, but there you go. FGC Arcade Evo Edition results. We got, at least in Strive, because that's what I pay attention to, I didn't see that, but Deb beat Milia 5-0, jeez. And also beat, Deb is a Soul player. She's a Soul player. Beat Leo 5-2. K7 Show Off was a Leo. Jeez. Soul is busted. Again, going back to Strive, we had Apology Man presents a 10 vs 10 exhibition, which was sort of weird because we did not see any Geos, Eno, Nago, Rams, Axolo, but we did see 3 Faust. Now, we do have an OG of a Faust who was Nage, and an OG of an OG who was Pot. So, sort of makes sense, but I don't really understand the Anji picks. We had 3 Anjis. Actually, I guess I should just go over the numbers. I went over the zeros, but we had 3 Faust, 3 Milia, 3 Chips, 3 Anjis. The Anji really doesn't make sense. It was an exhibition and not a tournament, so maybe they wanted to show us something. I'm not really sure there's too much to show with Faust, but hey, they went out there and they maybe proved themselves. Moving on, we have the Ronin Rumble Cup results. Mortal Kombat X lives, comes back to finish the fight after players were doxed and hit with DDoS attacks. And so I sort of touched on this before, but with Maximilian spearheading this and presumably NetherRealm being okay with it, maybe the story of Mortal Kombat 11 being bad has some credence and them switching off of it. We also finally have the Intel World Open closed qualifiers, early results in the stream. And that's it. As always, thanks for tuning in, folks. We just did the... I am forgetting, probably because I've just talked for an hour and a half. We just did the filler episode, anime and manga podcast, so please check that out if you haven't. The VOD should be up. But this has been the One Punch Combo, the fighting game podcast. So as always, thanks for tuning in. We will be back every month with this, the first Saturday of every month. And filler episode is weekly, the Saturday weekly. And I've talked for an hour and 30 minutes, so I'm definitely going to hang it up here. As always, thanks for tuning in.